All right, so this is the second video from Module 37 about hunger, and this particular video is focusing on obesity and weight control. So, first of all, the physiology of obesity. What you have to keep in mind, and it's kind of depressing for people who may be overweight or struggling with their weight, is your fat cells. What happens is that everybody has fat cells, and when you're overweight or you're obese, your fat cells swell to a larger size. And then when they swell, what happens is it triggers them to divide, and it multiplies. And all of a sudden, you have a whole bunch of fat cells. And then when you go on a diet, for example, you're not getting rid of your fat cells unless you have like liposuction. What you're doing is you're actually shrinking them. So you never actually get rid of them. So your book gave you this picture where the one on the far left is for somebody who has never been obese, what their fat cells look like. The middle one in the middle is what somebody their fat cells look like who is obese. And then the last one is somebody who had been obese and is no longer obese, okay? So this is, obviously you can tell that overall, like the overall size of the fat cells are about the same if you're never obese or if you have reduced obesity. But you notice that, you have a lot smaller a lot of those little smaller parts to the fat cell. So the unfortunate part is you never really get rid of them. You just shrink them. So it's very easy if you fall off the bandwagon there and you start eating again to blow back up to that size and multiply again. Now, once you are overweight and then you lose a bunch of weight. So once the one that says once overweight, when you lose the weight, you need fewer calories to maintain the weight that you've lost. So, for example, maybe you have somebody who is 300 pounds and they go and lose 120 pounds. So now they're 180 pounds. Well, now what happens is that they need to eat less calories than somebody who was already 180 pounds. So they're going to be looking at, for example, this meal on the right here on the top where, it's a salad and a nice healthy sandwich and some fruit. And their friend that had never been obese will probably be looking at something like this. Maybe that's a burger and fries. Both of them are about 500 calories, but you need less calories if you were once overweight, because remember, your body is basically telling you that you are starving because you've already fallen below your set point. And there's also research has also shown that there are genes that influence weight. Specifically, there is a gene called FTO. If you have the FTO gene, now it's not completely hopeless. There has been studies that look at people that have the FTO gene. Particularly, for example, there was a study that looked at Amish communities. And in the Amish communities, there were individuals that had this FTO gene, but they weren't overweight, they weren't obese, because the Amish, just the way their lifestyle is they have a lot more physical activity involved. So studies have also showed that exercise can combat this FTO gene. So it's not I guess, an excuse to say, oh, well, I have the fat gene, so there's nothing else I can do about it, might as well give up now. That's not the way it works, okay? Now, keeping that in mind, this little cartoon says, the doctor's telling the guy, says, what fits your busy schedule better, exercising 1 hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day? Keep in mind that weight and control is important, and while it is hard and it is difficult, it is an important thing to consider. With that in mind, I know this is a lot and very small, but 10 easy ways to lighten you up. This comes from that company Nutrice. They sell like their health food or whatever. They had a bunch of nutritionists make some suggestions on how to basically go and lose some weight. So some of these are kind of interesting. Like the first one's talking about chewing cinnamon gum. It says cinnamon is actually more stimulating and it keeps you satisfied longer, so then you're not hungry as much. And then it says, like number 2, it says having some sort of cushion or a fluff from your diet. So, factor out 100 to 200 calories, so that way you can still have those, couple of Hershey Kisses, or the pops from the candy dish or whatever. Be creative with your snack foods. Have some good, fruits that are of different flavors. They make some suggestions: papaya, star fruits, mangoes, whatever. By the way, you don't have to be writing these down. Resolve not to eat while you're doing other things. When eating at a restaurant, order a salad and then an appetizer as the main dish. I've also heard people, cut your food in half, your plate in half, and maybe set aside half of it for another time. If you're returning from work, wait 20 minutes before going to the kitchen, so then you're not, going and eating as a result of stress. Store leftovers in individual containers. Schedule snacks for every 2 hours, and so small snacks. But figure out what you're going to eat, so you're not going to be going to the kitchen and rummaging and finding things. It says use instead of oil when you're cooking, going and using chicken broth or vegetable broth, beef broth. And then, going in, if you're doing a hike or something, plan for a homemade trail mix, something that you can control what actually goes into it, and so it's going to be lower calories. So that's the kind of the things that I want to talk about obesity. The last thing about obesity that I wanted to show you is on Canvas. And so in class, I am having everybody go to Canvas, and at the bottom where it says class handouts, the last thing it says, should the U.S. adopt a fat tax? So if you pull this up, this article is specifically talking about what a fat tax would be. Okay, so I want you to read this article, and then I do have some questions for you. These questions that go with the article, students are answering this in a group. So if you are missing class and you did not read the fat tax article, I would like you to read that article and then answer these 5 questions on your own and turn them in to me when you're done. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions.